I hear my favorite granddaughter and my favorite grandson asking questions about my autobiography that I wrote.
Grandpa, we're your only granddaughter and grandson.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Grandpa, we're real happy you wrote your autobiography. It'll definitely be a treasure for all of us and your great grandkids.
How long were you in prison?
Well, between California and Arkansas and Leavenworth, Kansas, I spent almost 14 years in prison. My last prison sentence was for robbing the First National Bank in Fort Smith, Arkansas. They said in court over $44,225 was taken and the money was never recovered. You will have to read the book to find out what happened to the money.
Well, I'll certainly read it. What was it like being in prison?
Well, every prison is different, but the Arkansas prison was considered one of the worst. It was declared unconstitutional by the federal courts. A friend of mine filed a writ in 1965. He had been beaten severely by trusty convict and whooped by the field warden Mose Harmon.
What did they whip him with?
With a leather strap. The strap was about 3 foot long with a wooden handle on it, and every time he could hit somebody, he could draw blood, and he could jerk it in such a way that it would lift him off the ground. So the judge ruled that was in violation of the federal court, and
Well, were you ever whipped when you were in prison?
I was whipped 3 different times with the bullhide. First time I was whipped by the bullhide because of losing a boxing match on Saturday night. The field warden had placed a bet on me to win, but I lost. And the next 2 times was for not picking enough cotton on cold, frosty mornings.
What was it like to be whipped with a bullhide strap?
Well, if you can imagine somebody pouring a skillet full of hot grease on your rear end, that's what it felt like.
Was that the only thing you were beaten with, or I mean, did they use any other kind of torture tactics while you were in there?
Well, they used a Tucker telephone, which would run electric shocks through people. They would tie one wire to their big toe and another to their penis and crank it, and that would run electric shocks through them. I was never done that way, but I know a lot of guys that I work with that had been through that, and the first time I got whooped, the first lick I jumped up and I was gonna hit the guard that was whooping me, and Trusty grabbed me from behind, pushed my arm up behind my neck and slammed me to the ground and put his knee on my neck, and while the warden finished whooping me. The next 2 times I learned just to lay there and take it.
Did you ever think of trying to escape?
I tried 3 different times to escape, but got caught each time. One of the times, though, it was set up and they were gonna kill us to get us out of the way, but a man that the new governor had hired to come down there and watch over things, he was listening in on his 2-way radio in his pickup, and he got there just in time to save us. If he had been 1 minute later, we would have been dead.
Was there any other different ways of torture that they were doing to people while you were there?
Well, they would hang guys up, handcuff them to the bars with their feet just barely touching, what they call a teeter board. And, if they, would hold on to the bars long enough so the handcuffs wouldn't, bite into their wrist, but they could only do so long, and then they would have to let down, and then the handcuffs would be biting into their wrist. And, I was in solitary confinement, 3 times, 22 days one time. You got 1 cup of water and 1 little square of leftover scraps from the kitchen, about that big a square, about 3 by 3 inches, and about a ½ inch thick. 1 time a day and 1 cup of water. And you had to drink all the water while they were there and then give them the cup back. And they would put you a mattress pad in there about 3 inches thick at 9 o'clock at night and take it away at 6 in the morning. And the rest of the day you were laying on a cold concrete floor.
That's horrible.
How long were you in the Arkansas prison?
5 years and 8 months. And, boy, was I ever glad to get out of there.
Was that the last time you were in prison?
No, about 2.5 years later, my stepson got in trouble with the law and needed some money for a lawyer, so I went and robbed First National Bank and got caught for that 3 days later. I had a jury trial and got found guilty. They sent me to Leavenworth, and my case was on appeal, and I got a reversal and remanded back for a new trial. I got out of prison on appeal bond. A friend of mine from Chicago come down, put up the money because my wife had told me that she